Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Becky, and in this video I'm going to be showing you all of my current works in progress across my knitting and my crochet. I do have some other projects on the go, but I thought if I went into like my cross stitch and my sewing as well, it would just get a little bit out of hand and I couldn't put my hands on those things straight away. So we're just going to focus on the knitting and the crochet. I would like to get all of these WIPs finished by the end of the year so that next year I can like dive into my stash, really make a good effort at stash busting, and yeah, finally use some of this beautiful yarn that I have sitting in my stash. This last year I have been on like a no buy yarn ban, so I allowed myself to buy a couple of things at East Anglia Yarn Festival in March, and yeah, but because I have so many projects on the go at the moment, I haven't really needed to cast anything on, and so it kind of didn't do my ban on yarn didn't really do what I had intended it to do, because I didn't need to start anything new because I had so many projects on. So I didn't buy yarn this year, I barely cast anything on this year. I'm finishing the WIPs that I've got, and then next year I'm only going to knit from stash. I am going to go through this in like the groups, like I'm going to do my crochet projects and then I'll go through all my knitting projects, and then at the end I will talk a little bit about how I've planned out the rest of my year to try and get them finished. So yeah, without any further ado, I'm going to start with the crochet. So I've got 3 crochet projects on at the moment. The first project is a triangular shawl blanket, and the yarn is from Gamer Crafting, and I have, how many? 6. I have 10, I think I have 10 minis left to put in, but we're at the point now where the rows are really long, so it really eats the yarn up. So here we are. This is where I'm at the moment. It's super colourful. Yeah, I'm really, really enjoying it. Yeah, so I have that. And then the next crochet project is a blanket that I'm making for Aidan, which I'd like to have finished by Christmas. And you've probably seen this before if you watch my podcast. It's been on the go for quite a while. I finished Rory's last year, with the intention of giving it to him for Christmas, but I wanted to give them both a blanket at the same time, and I didn't finish Aidan's, so I'm still working on that, and his will have a dark blue border. I'm not really sure how far through I am on this because I seem to have left the rest of the project somewhere else, because I definitely have more than this. I'm hoping that I have some full 3x3 squares, but I might not, and that's hard. So, so there's that. And then the third crochet project that I have on the go, I don't know what I'm going to do with. I might just frog this because I don't know how I feel about it. I don't know if I'll wear it. I don't know. I'm making the granny hexagon cardigan, and yeah, I'm just not loving it. I really love the colours. It's a Stylecraft Special DK kit that was to make a blanket with, and I'm now wondering whether I would rather have the blanket than the cardigan. So I need to give this one some thought. My gut is telling me to pull it all out, and use the yarn for something else. Yeah, that's probably what I'm going to do actually. That's probably what I'm going to do, because I just haven't been working on it. I think I would wear one of these cardigans, but I just don't think I would wear this one. Yeah, so I'm probably going to frog this, which is one fewer WIP that I have to finish by the end of the year. But I haven't 100% decided, so I'm not going to frog it like right now. But it's definitely a contender for the frog pond. And that's it for crochet. I don't do a lot of crochet. I am mainly a knitter, but next year I would like to do a little bit more crochet. So, because I think like everything is pretty much a variation. Yeah, well, everything is that I'm working on right now is a variation of like the granny stitch. I'd like to branch out from the granny stitch a little bit next year and try a few other things. So, so yeah, I'll finish those and then try something a little bit more challenging, I think. Challenge myself a little bit. Knitting whips. I've split it into like shawls, pullover, sweater things, blankets and socks. And then I've got 2 designs, but I'm not worried about those being finished. Let's start with the shawls. I have got the Birds of a Feather shawl by Andrea Mowry, and it has had no progress on it since you would have seen it last if you watched my podcast. It's been too hot to knit on this, so this is not going to be getting any work done on it before it gets cooler. I just cannot, it's the mohair, I can't face the sort of sticky feeling of the wool sticking to my hands. It's too much. So that's just going to stay in the bag until later in the year, and I will finish that when it's cooler. And then I also have another shawl. Again, if you've been here a while, you will have seen this before, and it is definitely due. It's definitely time. It needs to be finished. And that is my Shawlography by Stephen West. I am so excited for this to be done because I love the colours so much and I love the design. And the thing that stopped me from knitting it was that I'm about to finish the brioche section, and then there's these like crossed bits of like loopy yarn, and then the bottom is like stripes of each colour. And I know a few people didn't love that for a border, and so a couple of people did some different borders, and I was thinking that I was going to do a different border, and I'm not going to do that. I just don't think that I can do that. So I'm just going to knit it the way that Stephen West intended, and I think I'm going to like it. So that's just the way it's going to be. I haven't got the right kind of brain to be like modifying that kind of thing in a pattern. Like I can change little things, but that felt like there was going to be maths involved. It didn't sound like me. So I'm just going to finish it the way that it was designed to be finished. And having made that decision, I'm like, yeah, ready to pick that back up again, ready to get working on it. So totally the right decision. And I'm really excited to be able to wrap up in this. I'm so excited to see what it's going to look like when it's blocked. Yeah, I'm excited to get back to working on this shawl. Next up, we have sweaters. Now, one of these sweaters is finished because I wrote this list at the beginning of July. So one of these sweaters is already finished, so I'm not going to show it to you. You'll have to watch my podcast to see the finished sweater. That is the Baby Flax DK sweater by Tin Can Knits. Yeah, watch my podcast to hear all about that. And the other pullovery type top thing is my Sea Glass Tee by Wool & Pine Designs. It has had no more work on it since I last showed it to you in the podcast because it's not one that I have like prioritized right now. But I have decided what I want to do with it. I want to make it quite a cropped length because I think it's going to be a little bit more fitted than the pattern kind of called for. I think it's going to end up being quite a tight fit. So I wanted to fit like that. And I don't think I would wear something that was like long to my waist and was super tight fitted, but I would wear something that was like cropped to sort of like above my waist or waist kind of, or like, you know, like for a high-waisted skirt or a pair of dungarees. So if it was tight, I'm going to wear it tight up top but not down the bottom. So it needs to cut off before my like tummy basically. So yeah, like I say, it's not a priority for me at the moment, but I would like to be able to wear it come autumn. So it will definitely come up again very soon, because, you know, we're over halfway through. Well, are we halfway through summer? Yeah. Are we? Are we? Not quite halfway through summer, but yeah, it will be autumn again before we know it, and I want to wear this in autumn. I've then got 3 knitted blankets on the go. The first one is, 2 of these blankets are not on my list of things to finish by the end of the year, because they are like long-term, ongoing, will they ever end kind of projects. The first one is a Cosy Memories blanket with lots of lovely, lovely minis that I've been sent from friends, and that are leftovers of socks and things like that. So this one is very much like it's just going to keep going until I can't knit it anymore. And so I've got so many minis, I probably do at some point need to give a little bit of attention to it, but it's not a priority right now to finish, but it is a WIP, so I thought I would show it to you anyway. And the second blanket that is not like on my radar to finish anytime soon is my Jelly Rolls blanket, which is the same as it was last time you saw it. Again, it is just eating up all of my DK scraps. So, and I think I said in my last podcast that I need to hold fire a little bit on knitting this, because the colours are all very in the same sort of colour palette, and I want to have, I don't want it to look really like this is autumnal colours and then I've got very wintry ones and then some summery ones. I don't want it to stripe like that. I want it to be a nice blend. So I need to get some other DK minis like worked out so that they can go into here. So so yeah, that's also not on my list of ones to finish by the end of the year, but again, is a WIP, so I thought I would show it to you. And so next year I'm probably not going to cast on any more blankets. I'm totally going to cast on more blankets. What am I saying? But if I'm going to cast a blanket on, it's going to be something that does not rely on minis, that's not a scrappy project in the same way that these are scrappy projects. It will be like here is the yarn I have to finish this blanket, and I will make the blanket. The third blanket is the baby blanket that I'm working on for our baby that's due in October, and I'm really pleased with how it's turning out. They're super, the squares are quite quick to knit up. Like I can knit 1 or 2 squares in an evening, depending on sort of what time my sit down time starts in the evening, very dependent on children. And so it will be done by the time it's needed. I would like to finish it before the end of the summer so that I can get it washed and blocked and dried in the sun, so it dries quickly, rather than having to like block it in October or November if it's like late finished, and then it'll be all like cold and it won't dry very fast. So that's this is the only blanket, knitted blanket, that I'm working on that I would like to finish by the end of the year, preferably by the end of the summer. Okay, and lastly is socks. So at the beginning of July, I had 4 pairs of socks on the needles. I have since finished 2 pairs of those socks, so I'm not going to talk about those because I'll show those to you in my podcast. But they are on my list, but they're now just ticked off. And then I have 2 other pairs, one that I can't find. I'm knitting on it at the moment actively, and I've put it down somewhere. It might be in the car from when we went out earlier. I'm not sure, but it's a pair of baby socks or like little kid socks, and they are nearly done. So they will be finished by the end of July, but you'll be able to see those in my podcast. And then the second pair of socks, or the fourth pair of socks, however you want to look at it, are my Moon, what's the actual name of the yarn club? I don't know, Moons of the Year or something from Green Lambkin Yarns. It was last year's like socky club. So every month we got a little, have I done these the wrong length? No. Oh, for a horrible moment there, I thought this one was significantly longer in the leg than this one. I was like, oh God. Yeah, so this was the like monthly club from, or one of the monthly clubs from Green Lambkin Yarns last year. These ones, you may have seen them before. I started them on 9-inch circulars and I hated it so much. So I decided that the only way I was going to finish them was to move them onto Magic Loop, and I have worked on them more since moving them over. I need to finish the heels because I can't knit those on the go, but once the heels are done, they will go into my rucksack and they will get worked on like out and about in the world. I think I can probably finish those by the end of August, with even just with them being like out and about socks. So that would be ideal. So then after I had written my list of all of my WIPs, I broke them down into like 2 or 3 projects for each month. So July was the Baby Flax DK and was one of the pairs of socks. I think I'd finished the other pair of socks that I mentioned. I think I finished those before I wrote my list. But yeah, one of the pair of socks, they are done. And then the other thing that I needed to work on in July was my triangle blanket. I wanted to finish all of the balled up skeins that I had. I think we're on the 25th of July. I still think there's like a better chance that I will finish those balled up skeins than that I won't, but not the end of the world if I don't. I would like to get it finished, however, in August, and that's very doable because I've got 4 balls or 3.5 balls and 6 skeins left to put in. I think that's really manageable, really manageable. Also in August, I would like to finish the moon socks. Like I say, with just taking them out and about with me, I think that that's really likely to happen. And then I would like to work on my baby blanket. So again, I think between one of these projects being like very much in a cafe kind of knit, and then having a crochet project and a knitting project means that they'll probably get quite a lot of time on them. The baby blanket is super quick. There's a good chance I could finish it in August, but if I don't, I've put myself the aim of finishing it in September. I've also said I'd like to finish the baby kiddie socks in September, but they are almost certainly going to be finished by the end of July. They could even be finished by the end of today if I can find them. But definitely by the end of September, I would like them to be done. I'll be really surprised if they're not finished before the end of September. And then I would like to work on my sea glass tee. I'm thinking that by the time September's coming round, it's going to be cooler. I'm going to want to work on something like that a little bit more. Yeah, and then in October, when I'm due to have a baby, I've given myself the simple task of working on Aidan's blanket, the crochet blanket. I feel like that's possibly doable, like crocheting like little bits here and there over a baby, very possibly doable. The sea glass tee, I'd like to work on that a bit more, possibly less doable, just thinking about having lots of little balls of yarn around. Yeah, I'm not sure that's going to work out very well, but we'll just see how we do. And then finish shawlography. Again, I'm not sure how realistic that is, but we'll see how we go. I'm going to move some of these around. You know, if I finish something early, or if something's just not working for me, then I'm going to move them around. But this was just at the beginning of July, this was just what I was imagining was going to happen. November, I would like to finish my sea glass tee, finish Aidan's blanket, and start working on my birds of a feather shawl. And then finish birds of a feather by December. And then I've also put my granny cardigan in there, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to frog that. So that means that I've definitely got space in December for knitting things. So I think there's still a really good chance that I could get everything finished by the end of the year. Because yeah, December will be like mopping everything up. I kind of don't see how I couldn't finish everything by the end of the year, but then maybe I'm just massively optimistic. I don't know. I think the thing is, like, when I get really stuck into a project, I can put a decent amount of time into it. So yeah, but yeah, that is everything that is a WIP currently. It's not as much as I thought, but I have been kind of chipping away at it slowly. I've had quite a good year for finishing little things up here and there. And I have done a couple of big, like, frogging sessions. So I feel like I have really whittled everything down to projects that I really want to finish. So that definitely helps when it comes to getting things done. It's like, there's nothing here really, apart from the granny cardi. There's nothing here that I'm just like finishing for the sake of it. It is like everything is wanted. So that's a really good place to be in, I think. So that is it for my WIPs. That's it for this video. I will try and remember to come back here and leave a link to my podcast so that you can see those other few projects that were finished that I didn't show you. And yeah, it'll only be a few days until that goes out anyway. If you're interested, I have been doing July vlogs. I have been vlogging every day in July, and I'll leave a link to that down below as well. Very, very nearly finished. As I say, like right now it's the 25th of July. So we're really close to the end. By the time you're seeing this on the 27th of July, we'll be even closer to the end. And I've had a really nice time doing it. So go and watch them. That would be nice. And now I have all of this tidying up to do. So thank you very much for watching. Let me know how many WIPs you currently have on the needles in the comments down below. Or if you don't have anything to say but you want to leave a comment, then leave me the little ball of yarn emoji down below so that I can see that you love yarn too. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!